Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to my YouTube channel. As you may have noticed on the screen down here, it's not the usual black bar. It's because I'm not streaming live right now. I'm just recording this as I start part one of building the Vought F4U-1D Corsair by Tamiya. 1/48 scale as usual. So I prefer to have the 1/48 scales, and I kind of like to have them all the same because I like to have my models all scaled to the same so I can see what these things are like in the different sizes in real life. So as you can see, fresh build, haven't done anything. I've taken it out of the plastic bags, of course. Got my instructions here. Here's the various trees. Looks like we've got a little tugger to build, a little tractor. It's going to go with this. There's the main fuselage piece. I'm actually quite surprised how small these World War II planes really were in comparison to modern day jets. It really amazes me how small they were. And then the final tree, we've got the wing pieces. And I think I am going to build this thing or assemble it. There's the nose. I'm going to assemble this thing with the wings in their folded position like they would be if they were sitting on the deck of an aircraft carrier. One thing I am going to change, as you can see on this part, this is the F4D. As you can see, the color scheme is all completely blue, even on the picture on the side. It's just, the whole thing is blue. And I'm not going to go with that particular color scheme. I like I guess it's the tricolor. It's white on the bottom, and then you've got like an intermediate or medium blue, and then a dark blue on the top. So I've got my three colors here. Then I'm going to be painting them in. The white, the medium, and the dark blue. If I was going with the color that's actually on the box, I would go with a darker blue like this one. But I'm not doing that one. Let's see if I get a picture I could bring up on here. Show you the color scheme I am going for. This might work here. I guess this was the F4U-1 is the original one. Let's see what can I do here. Is it this one? Yeah, there we go. So that's the scheme I'm going for. So you can see it's got the white on the bottom there, and then the medium blue, and then the dark blue along the top, and it's actually on the top of the wings. So yeah, that is what I'm going for, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I've got some spray painting I need to do, and I've got to turn down my music a little bit. It's a little bit much here. And we've got some, I guess they're bombs, right? They didn't have missiles in 1940, did they? I don't think so. So I'm going to assume these are bombs. Yeah, because this plane was a bomber, right? Why don't I read the instructions? Tamiya always puts like a little bit of a little history on the stuff. Let's see here. I'm going to get my other glasses so that I don't have to put my head right on the page to read it. Development of the F4U Corsair began in 1938. The finished Corsair was equipped with 2,000 horsepower P&W R2800 engine, a large 4 meter diameter propeller, 4 meter, wow, and a unique inverted gull wing construct. First mass-produced F4-1 made in initial flight in the spring of 1942. Okay, so it was 1942. Despite its high performance, the F4U-1's long nose and framed canopy reduced visibility from the cockpit, and left wing stalls occurred easily during low-speed flight. For these reasons, the F-6F Hellcat took the place of main carrier-based fighters, while Corsairs were relegated to U.S. Marine Corps bases. Improvements of the Corsair, such as a raised pilot seat, a bubble canopy to improve visibility, and right-wing front-edge spoiler, were realized with the F4U-1A version. Later, a frameless bubble canopy and wider propeller blades were adopted on the F4U-1D, and that's what this one is. In addition to 6 12.7mm machine guns, the F4U-1D featured a 900-kilogram bomb payload, so they were bombs. As well as 8 HVAR rockets. So maybe they are rockets. Or armor-piercing rockets that could be loaded on the outer wings. There you go. So those are the armor-piercing rockets. That's these guys. The bombs are those two big guys, I guess. Wherever they went. Here. There's the bombs. So there we go. They have rockets. They don't call them missiles, but they're calling them rockets. What's the difference between a rocket and a missile? Rocket just fires maybe, and it's not guided, and a missile is guided. I don't know. That's what Google's for, I suppose. So anyway, I've been through oh, look at that, that's my antenna from my A10 Warthog that I forgot to glue back on. So I have been through all this to write down. If you've seen my other videos, you know that this music is annoying. You know that I like to go through the manual, look at the color chart, and write down the colors, because it's impossible for me to remember what's X11, what color is X14, what color is XF66, what color is X1, and all that. As I go through the book, I just wind up having to flip back and forth all the time, and I don't want to do that. So I go through and I write down all the colors everywhere. Yeah, so that's what I do, and I did that last night. And so here we are. Now, one thing that they want me to paint a lot of parts is a mixture of yellow and olive drab. And that's basically like a lot of the interior mechanism parts, inside the cockpit areas, up in where the landing gear is, the inside of the, they call this the engine cowling. Inside of this, they want that yellowy green color. So I'm not going to use my bright yellow. I'm going to use my dark sand. It's funny they call it dark sand, but it looks pretty bright. So that's brown sand. Brown sand, dark sand. The dark is lighter than the brown. Anyway, I'm going to use this one, and I got my olive drab, or olive green. So I'm going to mix these two. I'm just going to mix them into a spare container that I've got there. Mix them together till I get kind of a yellowy, greeny kind of color. And I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do for that. They have a tractor to build here, or nowadays we call them tuggers. Those little tractor things they use to pull aircraft around. That whole thing is basically light gray. This isn't really a light gray, it's kind of like a medium. So I'll spray that down with just a lighter gray color than what that is. Nothing special there. The two halves of the fuselage, I think I'm going to get them off the tree there and tape them together so that I can spray the underneath of it white, like it's like my color scheme is going to be. Stuck. So what I'm going to do is get my table out here. That ready. I don't really need to paint this yet. I'm not sure what color to paint the bombs, because if I was going with a full dark blue color scheme, the bombs would be dark blue, and the instructions call for them to be dark blue because the instructions, they are assuming that I'm going with the dark blue scheme, but I'm not. So I was looking online for pictures of this thing in the tricolor scheme, and I didn't see any that have the bombs. So I'm still in the process of looking for those. To see what color the bombs would have been. Maybe I should just Google pictures of the F4U-1D or even the F4U-1A. I'm sure that I've got a couple of pieces that are more than just this. I can already tell just by looking at this. Man, this thing's small. It's a tiny little thing. Compared to that A10 Warhog that was this freaking long, got this tiny little guy. See, I got a feeling that this doesn't just go on here like this. This is going to sit, I guess, like that, which means I've got a piece in between there. It's going to go, and that's probably going to have some white on it too on the bottom. So I have to figure out what piece that's going to be. I think it might be one of these big round disc looking guys, or maybe it's both, I don't know. But it's not going to be the bombs. Let's see where I can find where that goes together. Looks like I got two options depend on select either open or closed flaps. Okay, so one of them is open flaps and one's closed. So what am I going to be doing? Would the flaps be open when the plane is off, or would the flaps be open? Maybe the flaps are open for cooling. Why would they be open? Would that be to cool the engine? Did they have a problem with overheating in mid-flight? That's I don't know anything about these planes. These are how their engines worked. So obviously that would go like this, that, or it would be this one, going like that, flaps open. So let's clean this up here. Now this might be a bit premature in painting this like this, simply because I might have to come back and maybe add putty to it to get a good, you know, to hide the panel line, to hide that line, the crease, when it's all said and done. And then of course if I have to do that after it's assembled, then painting this is really a waste of time. Like painting this now, I mean, it's really a waste of time. But I'm going to paint it regardless, because I want to have a base coat, if nothing else, on it. And I want to know what, if any, other kind of imperfections and things I need to fix. And later on, if I do have to come back and, you know, touch up a little bit of white in here or something like that, that's not a big deal. It's easier than having the plane half assembled and masking off and stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to tape those together a little bit. A couple of pieces of tape here. I already see an issue there. Typical tail fin don't want to stay together. Okay, so that's good. So I'm just going to basically hit along there with the white, but I'm going to put this guy on there. Look at this. Now this was loose in the box, but it was clearly attached to a tree somewhere. It's got this huge, oh, it's got this huge knob on the top of it there. It's kind of a shitty spot to put it. It's right in the middle of a panel line of some sort. One thing I do like so far, the panel lines are actually engraved. They've been scored into this, which I like a lot better than when they're raised. Like for example on the A10 Warthog, panel lines were raised on there, so you can't, like, you know, run like the panel line accent color and have it run in through all the panel lines and make it look nice and cool, for lack of a better term. Makes it look cool. So you don't get to do that when the panel lines are raised. Where'd you go? So like I said, you don't get to do that when the panel lines are raised. That's where I guess the guys who use airbrushes have an advantage, is they get to spray those dark lines on all the panel lines around, and it kind of fades and gives it that dark look, and it looks really cool. And I just don't have that with the regular spray paint that I use. It's just not something I can do. So yeah. So it's nice when the panel lines are engraved on it. So there we go. So I'm just going to do that. Spray, give that a shot of paint, and do that for now. There's not a lot to be done. So there's one coat done, just to give it some white on there. So I'll just let this sit. And put a second coat in a couple of minutes while I let that dry. So obviously I'm not going to be using this Typical fashion, they want me to start assembling the cockpit first, then the engine, and then the wings. Now that's another thing. Certain sections of the wings are going to get a treatment of white. It's mainly just this section here. That will be white. Which I guess realistically I could have taped this to the plane too. Now that also means, I think, some of the flaps. I will have to determine what flaps this part too. I almost need to mock everything together. To get it to fade properly. That and that. These are the four main pieces of the center part. These guys are going to go in here. That, maybe it's this side. Yeah, okay, so that goes there. These go on top. Just like that. So I want to have a, I don't want to have a hard line of the white to the blue, right? So I kind of want to, I don't know, do I want to have more white? Make the white come up just a little bit past, halfway. I think so. Which kind of means I might as well paint these guys white too. Okay, so I'm going to clean them up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint this front edge white. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it will be blue later. So I'll clean these up and I'll hit them with some white. What time is it? 4 o'clock. It's going to be a short video, and I'm almost, makes me kind of glad I'm not actually live streaming this right now. Because I don't have much time today. So but that's okay. Maybe I won't even upload this until I've got more ready to go. You know, when I was younger, I always thought these planes looked really cool, but I kind of got enamored with the P-51 Mustang. I was thinking, yeah, it's the best plane in World War II, so the Mustang's the best. Who cares about the rest? It's kind of my philosophy. And then, of course, I'm a big fan of the Ford Mustang car. And so, yeah, Mustang car is awesome. Mustang plane is awesome. Yeah. The Corsair was always, I always thought it looked kind of neat with it's the way the wings were set up on it, right? But again, in my mind, it always played second fiddle to the P-51 Mustang. Of course, the two planes, they play different roles, and you know, that's always important. So yeah, they both have their strengths and weaknesses, and that's always something to keep in mind, right? Okay, so let's a couple of little alligator clip thingies. So I can paint these without painting my fingers. My fuselage is probably ready for a second coat. Okay, fuselage is done. So there we got some white on there now. It's done. Let's paint these guys. Side is up on them. So I'll just paint the whole thing white. One. Two. Now, like I said, I'm just going to do this front edge on this. Looks like I'll be painting the underside of them that yellowy green. And now this guy. Too thick of a coat on the first coat, just enough to cover, right? How you doing? I love how fast Tamiya paint dries. It's so awesome. A long time ago, I used to paint pretty much exclusively with the big, like, automotive spray paint cans that you get at, well, for my Canadian viewers, see, I get it at Canadian Tire. And so I just go to, like, the paint section, and I get, like, the white primer and the white clear coat, and the clear coat and stuff like that. And that's what I used to get, because I did not want to pay $14 for a can this size when I could pay like $6 for a can this size, you know, like 3 times the size of this almost, and less than half the price, you know. And I used to use that paint all the time. But that stuff, you know, you spray it on and now you gotta wait a good 15-20 minutes for it to dry. Sometimes longer if you manage to paint it on really thick or something like that, right? And so you might ask, well, why aren't you using that stuff today? And it's about the quality of the paint. The Tamiya stuff, yes, it's expensive. But for actually using to paint models, the Tamiya paint it sprays nicer, it dries much faster, and it's easier to fix, for lack of a better term, if you screw it up. That stuff at Canadian Tire and those bigger cans, you make a mistake with that, you're doing a lot of sanding and repriming and all kinds of stuff to fix your screw up. Not to mention, you can't do anything with it until it is fully dried. So if you've just painted something and you realized, oh, I got a big screw up on it, I need to sand it down, you know, I need to sand it and redo it or something like that, right? Because who knows, maybe you're painting something fairly large and you got a piece of dust or a hair that fell into the paint and it's now there, which is another thing. This Tamiya stuff dries so fast, I don't get any dust or anything or hairs or anything on it, right? It's that other automotive style stuff, it's a nightmare. I used to, especially if I'm painting something like I want to paint something black, and I want a nice, and it's the same paint in a car, and I want a nice gloss black finish. I used to have to, what I would do is I would spray paint it and I put a box over top of it, because I knew that as that paint was drying in the next half an hour, I would get dust that would land on it and it would look like shit. With the Tamiya, I don't have to worry about that. Now, mind you, this is all kind of a semi-gloss paint, you know, it's all painting airplanes and stuff like that. It's really a non-issue, but the rain fell down. Yeah, it's far superior and it's a lot easier to deal with than those automotive type paints. And yeah, like even the primer, if I wanted to just spray it all in primer first, I don't even put primer on these models because the Tamiya paint is such a high quality paint. Now I'm raving about Tamiya again, but I can't help it. They've dedicated themselves to the plastic modeling world, or whatever you want to call it, and they do a really bang up job. So yeah. Vought, same thing. They're maulers and models company, blah 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 blah. But their quality is not up there with Tamiya. I'm sorry, Vought, you're just not there. So anyway, it is almost 4:30. I need to go. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm starting. So we're gonna have to hit that again on the front. A little bit, just in case. And with that, I'm done. At least for now. But I will be back. And so yeah, I will see you in part 1.5.